Hey guys, this is question MM150 of the Maths Methods Fortify study guide, the very last question in the Trig chapter. So congrats for making it this far if you're watching with me. So we've got this train line that runs across a bridge through a tunnel in a mountain and emerges onto another bridge on the other side of the mountain as shown in the diagram here. So this bit here is our train line. Whoop, can't spell, train line. And the shape of the mountain is modeled by y equals 40 sine pi on 60 times x take 30 plus 40. Awesome. The length of the tunnel GH is 20 meters. So from here to here is 20 meters. And the sum of the lengths of bridge supports AB and CD is 40 root 3 plus 40 meters. So this plus this is equal to 40 root 3 plus 40. We'll come back to that later. The distance from AG, so from here to here, is equal to the distance from H to C. So these two bits of bridge are the same distance. How high above ground level is the peak of the mountain? Fantastic. So this bit here is our peak of the mountain, and we know that that occurs at the maximum of this function. So the maximum is simply equal to our midpoint, which is 40, plus our amplitude, which is 40. So max is equal to, and this is part A, max is equal to 40 plus 40, which is equal to 80 meters. So that's how far above our, that's how far above our ground level the peak is. So 80 meters is our answer for that. Should be pretty straightforward for that one. Please let me know if you have any issues with it, as always, in the comments below. But for now, let's just move on to part B. So, part B, what is the length of bridge support EF? Okay, so from here to here is what we're looking for, yeah? So this is the distance that we're looking for. EF is the same distance as from H to the ground, right? Because this is where the train line is, it's the same distance. This is just further along this way, and H is the same distance. So our key here is figuring out where H lies, all right? So if we know that the maximum lies at 80, that means, so this is 80 high, I mean, yep. So that means that this is the middle, and that's where our peak is going to be. So this is going to make sense as I go from here. So from here to here, we need to figure out where our x value is here, because in order to figure out where h is, we need to know where the middle is here. So let's do that. We know from here to here is the same as a period, right? So we need to figure out what our period is. So remember, our period on a sine graph is equal to 2 pi over b, where b is our coefficient of x. So in this case, 2 pi over 60 is going to give us a period of 120 meters. So from here to here is 120, which means that to here is halfway, which means that's 60. If this is 60 and this tunnel here is 20 meters long and this is symmetrical, that means that from here to h is 10 meters, which means h is at 70 meters. So from this x value of 70, we're going to be able to figure out how high this h value is, yeah? So let's do that. So we know that y is equal to 40 sine of pi over 60 times x, and in this case our x is 70, because we want to know how high above the ground h is, which will be the same distance as e to f. 70 take 30 plus 40. So we end up with 40 sine of 70 take 30 is 40, so 40 pi over 60 plus 40, which is the same as 40 sine of 2 pi on 3 plus 40, which is 40 times root 3 over 2 plus 40. Awesome. And that means that we get simply 40, 20, oops, sorry guys, confusing myself here. So this goes to 20 root 3 plus 40, and it hasn't asked for decimal places. So we just leave it like this, just in exact value. So this is the distance. So this is our y value of h, which means therefore EF equals 20 root 3 plus 40 meters long. So in terms of our mark allocation, our first mark comes with this first bit here. Our second mark comes when we get to around here. And our third mark comes when we answer the question like this. So what we've done is find out where h is in terms of the x, subbed in that x value to find the height of h, or the y value of h on the graph, which is going to be the same distance as here to here, which I'm sure you can see like that. This is the same distance here. So guys, that's part B. If you have any questions, as always, let me know. But let's just move straight on to part C. So I'm going to leave this bit here and we move on to part C at the moment. Awesome. So if a train travels at 50 meters per second, how long does it take to travel from A to C? All right, so we want from here to here, which means we're going to need to figure out the distance from A to G and the distance from from H to C. Okay, so we know that the sum of AB and CD is 40 root 3 plus 40, because it tells us in the question, meters, okay? Now, since AG is equal to HC, as it tells us in the question, that means that AB is equal to CD. They're the same height, right? Which means that one of these is equal to the other, which is equal to half of this total sum. So 20 root 3 plus 20 meters. Now, if we know that the height of EF is equal to 20 root 3 plus 40, as we discovered in the previous question. This is 20 root 3 plus 40. AB is equal to 20 root 3 plus 20. That means, because what we're trying to figure out, right, is the distance from A to C. Because we can't figure out how long it takes the train to get from A to C if we don't know how long it is, right? So we need to find our x value here and our x value here. So we need to find our x value of the B point on this graph, okay? So if, like I said, if EF is 20 root 3 plus 40 and AB is 20 root 3 plus 20, then from here to B is going to be EF minus AB, right? So B, so the distance from, like the y distance, is equal to 20 root 3 plus 40, which is EF, minus AB, which is 20 root 3 plus 20. Okay, so let's just get rid of this, which means that B is 20 meters above the ground. Okay, so in order to find our x value at this point, we're going to have to sub this in to our original equation. So we know that the y value is 20, which means we can sub this into our original. We get pi on 60, x take 30 plus 40. Now where we go from here is we get to negative 1/2 equals sine of pi over 60, x take 30. Inverse sine of negative 1/2 is equal to pi on 60 outside of x take 30, which means that 7 pi on 6 is equal to pi on 60, x take 30. From here we can get to the point where we have pi outside of x take 30 equals 420 pi over 6. And from here x take 30 equals 70, saying that x is equal to 100. Cool. So what that's given us is this point here, right? It's given us 100 here. And if this is 60, that means that this point here is 20, because it's the same distance away. Okay, so this is 100 here. Awesome. And from there, we know that the distance from x to x, so from A to C, is equal to 80 meters, right? From 20 to 100 is 80 meters. So I'm just going to rub this out just so that I can rewrite all this. So we know that our distance is 80 meters, right? Now, we know that the train is traveling at 50 meters per second, and we know that speed is equal to distance over time. Speed is 50, distance is 80 over time, which means that time is equal to 8/5 seconds. This is our third mark. Our first mark comes when we recognize, let me just see what I got marked down here. Cool, the first mark comes when you recognize that the height of B above the ground is 20, so that's your first mark there. And then your second mark is when you figure out that X is 100. So, as in your distance is 80, so that's your second mark there. Awesome. Guys, if you have any questions about that, please let me know. This has been the very last trig question in the chapter. Hope you enjoyed it. Please let me know if you have any questions. And as always, guys, have an awesome day.